And who you are stifles where you're trying to go. One of those two things has to change.
Pay attention. I think you'll find yourself in their stories.
So you guys, when you're on the journey, there's always an excuse, right? And then there's also always an alternative. So one of the things to shift your mindset is to go from that excuse to that alternative.
Something that was absolutely necessary. It was absolutely necessary, and it was absolutely necessary right now.
Yes.
There were no excuses. There was no yes. It was, I'm going to do this, Denise, and I don't want to hear anything else, period. And that was it. I just made up my mind, and I did it. You know, you have to get to a point where you just stop making excuses.
It's our big, fat, emotional journeys, and it's costing us far too much.
Hi, it's Akilah, one half of the LiberatedBitches.com team. Katrina M, Harrell, of course, is the other half, and we are bringing you conversations about her big, fat, emotional journey. We're talking about the woman behind the work. We're talking about the personal side of public and private dialogues around body love, self-exploration, and just the idea of not waiting anymore for your weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, or your weight, W-A-I-T, to be something different in order for you to really embody yourself. This particular session is extra yummy because my BFF of years, it's been like since what, 6th grade? Yeah, since a really long time ago. My best friend Denise Simone is here with me, and she's going to be sharing her insights on how she got free, how she changed her relationship with her body, how it's affected her mindset, and really just about her owning the woman that she's always known she could be, starting with her body. So welcome, Denise. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Akilah.
Yes. So, Denise, tell us a little bit about your journey. Like, if you could work backwards a little bit, like where you are now in terms of your relationship with your body and where you started, so we can get an idea of that comparison.
Okay, so this whole thing started last January. You know, as we always do, I made resolutions. But this last year was different because I did some reflection on my previous resolutions, and I realized that as it related to my body, I made the same resolution every single year. And every single year, I felt like I failed because I didn't achieve the results that I wanted. So I thought about that a lot, and I tossed it around in my head a million times. And I decided that 2012, this is the year. If I don't get serious in 2012, it's never gonna happen. And 5 years from now, I'm gonna be making the same resolution, and I'm gonna be in the same place. So anyway, I decided in 2012 that this was it. So in January of last year, I started making my own changes. I started eating right with, what I thought was, the right foods. And I started doing my exercises. Of course, I wasn't, I was doing what I thought was the best thing to do. In May, a Groupon came up for a boot camp. And I was like, a boot camp, this sounds challenging. Let me throw myself to the wolves and see what happens. So I joined the boot camp, and OMG. The first day I went to boot camp, I was just in total shock. I could not believe what I signed up for. And honestly, I wasn't sure that I was going to make it the following day because it was that serious. But anyway, I decided that, I made a commitment on December 31st of 2011, and I was going to stick to it. So, I started going through boot camp, and it was really educational. The instructor, she's really awesome. And as she was teaching us about fitness, she was teaching us about nurturing our bodies and eating healthily and things like that. So, I started taking notes and I started making, adjustments, and I started seeing results, small results, but results nonetheless. So, as you can imagine, that really motivated me, and I stuck to it. I had times where, I just kind of I got stuck. I wasn't seeing anything happening, but I knew, I owned it, because I knew that I might have not been pushing hard as I should, or I wasn't eating, the way I should have, and things like that. But anyway, besides all of that, I just decided that I was going to keep doing it. In November actually, of last year, the instructor, she told us about an exciting challenge that, she was going to start in January. And it was called a paleo. She was doing what's called a paleo diet, which is basically just clean eating, eating as we should eat. So, it's totally, we volunteered. It wasn't mandatory. But of course, I was one of the first to raise my hands, because I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to really, really, really dive into my health and fitness journey. So I signed up for the program, and in January I started it. And what I realized that prior to last year, it was always about losing weight. I wanted to lose weight because I wanted to look good. As I started going through boot camp and I started to get more knowledge and just, my own personal research, I realized that that's kind of silly. Because if you're just losing weight just to lose weight, to look good, to fit into a nice dress, for me anyway, from my personal life, that was a recipe for disaster. I had to come to the realization that it's actually a lifestyle change. I was losing weight for my health, for my body, for my mind, for my spiritual growth. I wanted a lot more than just looking good. I wanted to feel great. And as I went through the program, I started feeling good. And I went from feeling good, and in January I started feeling great. Like I felt clean. I felt good. I didn't realize the impact that food and lack of exercise could have on your mental state.
I want to talk about that a little bit, Denise. So when you said, because I think so many of us are still trying to figure out, and I know a lot of you watching as well, are trying to figure out how to make it a long-term thing. Like how to not make it about, okay, I have this thing coming up in October, like for the women who are part of the retreat. I have this thing coming up on October 31st and I want to be sexy, when I go to Jamaica or whatever. What was the difference for you in having that idea from before and really working towards losing weight, even successfully sometimes? But what made the difference between how you thought about it back then versus the change that you made now, where it's been a long-term lifestyle change that just happens to have weight loss as one of the side effects? What's the difference?
Pretty much when I started in January. For one, when I started in January, I made a promise to myself that I was going to make a lifestyle change. And I realized that I didn't want to just have that, I guess, a pleasurable moment of looking good or whatever for a moment, for next week or next month or summer or Christmas. I wanted to feel good for the rest of my life. And when I started feeling good and I got like a piece of that crack.
Right, that feel good.
I didn't want to lose that. It felt so good. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been missing this all my life. Are you serious? And I just decided that this cannot be a temporary thing. It can't be. I want to feel good. And I never want to lose that feeling ever. And honestly, for me, that was a big part of it. I felt good, and I'd never had that experience before. I felt great. I felt good. emotionally in a very crazy time. I don't know if that makes any sense. I was going through a very rough period. And even through that rough period, in fact, I think that that lifestyle change played a big part in me going through what I went through. It played a major part because I can't imagine going through the crazy period of time that I went through and feeling unhealthy.
Yeah, and it might have put you in the hospital. And so many of us are walking around right on the edge of that, on the edge of that. And so you made it about how you wanted to feel for the rest of your life, like not a short-term thing, because you've lost weight before, and you've got, but this time the difference is because it's really important that you guys recognize that. So she didn't just change her habits for the moment, she changed her mind, and then she changed her lifestyle to match that. So you said, eating differently, revisiting, we talk all the time about like your love of like bread, rice, that sort of thing. Then you were telling me about, the cauliflower rice, you found alternatives. So you guys, when you're on the journey, there's always an excuse, right? And then there's also always an alternative. So one of the things to shift your mindset is to go from that excuse to that alternative. Oh, but I really, really love rice. It's my one thing. Okay, but this extra weight and this feeling and this fog, that's not your one thing. So what can you do so that maybe if you want to have rice on Thanksgiving, you can, because for the rest of the year, you actually found healthier alternatives that fit this lifestyle.
When you go about this thing, it can't be about looking good for the summer. It's much bigger than that. Much, 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 much bigger than that.
And so what changed it for you was the idea that because I know a lot of people are so on the verge of the change. And so what changed it for you was that it was about the lifestyle. It was how you wanted to feel for the rest of your life. But in each day, so for example, that first day when you went, and because I went to that boot camp with her, not the first day, but a few months after, and I was just like, bah. Like I had never in my life want to even see that woman again. Oh my God. I'm kidding. She was awesome, but oh my God. But what made you go back the next day? Like, how come you didn't feel defeated? How come was it because you had changed your mind? And
I changed my mind, and I made a commitment, and I made a promise to myself. And I mean, this was the year, 2012 was the year. I had no intention on going back on my word as I did in the previous year. I didn't care. I had stuff, sticky notes on my wall. I would write stuff down. And I just constantly reminded myself that this is something that was absolutely necessary. It was absolutely necessary, and it was absolutely necessary right now.
Yes.
There were no excuses. There was no yes. It was, I'm going to do this, Denise, and I don't want to hear anything else, period. Yeah. And that was it. I just made up my mind, and I did it. You have to get to a point where you just stop making excuses. You have to get to that point, and it's very difficult. It's the most challenging thing ever in life. But you have to know that you are worth more than excuses.
That's powerful.
You're worth more than excuses, and excuses won't get you very far.
Yeah,
and we all know that.
Yeah, so it's just to put it into practice.
It's just to put it into practice, and it is practice. I would talk to myself in the shower. I had full-out conversations with myself. I would cry in the shower because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. When is it going to end? And, but I did whatever I needed to do to pull through.
Yeah.
And that took a lot of reassuring myself, reminding myself, talking to other women who are, going through the same thing. In our boot camp, it was pretty cool because, all us women, we would talk like on Facebook or, even after class, we would talk about our own, issue, whatever we were going through. Like, oh my gosh, it was such a rough day. It was stressful. Yeah. I wanted a piece of chocolate so bad. Or I did have that piece of chocolate or I didn't. But blah, 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 But it takes work. It takes a lot of work, like all day, every day. It takes work because there are always temptations, and there are always people that don't get it. You know, I can't tell you how many times people would say, "Well, it's just like one time." I mean, oh my gosh, you're being so hard on yourself, and you know, you try to explain to people it's not about being hard or restricting yourself from doing certain things. It's about a commitment, and a lot of people don't get that, and you know, you'll try to explain it to them today, and tomorrow they'll come back to you with the same thing.
Yeah.
And so you know, it's difficult because it's you against yourself and it's you against the world.
Yep.
You know,
like any other commitment that you take
like
on.
any other commitment.
Yeah. So I love that you said it really is about, I hear commitment and I hear community and I hear consistency, because you made the commitment and you also had the support of a community, whether it was logging onto your computer or being there in person. Again, no excuses. There's always an option. And then being consistent with yourself. So if you had the piece of chocolate, if you were the woman in the group that had the piece of chocolate or the whole bar, it's still, you still didn't say to yourself, oh, damn, I failed. That was just in that moment.
And that's important. And that's important to know that you're not going to be 100% on point all day, every day. You're going to make mistakes, but the key is to not beat up on yourself when you do. The key is to pick up and continue. Yeah. You know, that's the key. I mean, we're going to be tempted at times, but you have to kind of change, you know, like one of the things that we always hear, you know, women say, like at the boot camp, or you know, we discuss, rather, conversations we've had. Well, I had a bagel for breakfast and already messed up, so I might as well, whatever. I'll just start over fresh tomorrow. No, you can't do that. Yeah, you made a bad choice. Okay, so for the rest of the day, you're gonna make the right choice. You can't, because you know that's setting yourself up for failure. Because tomorrow morning, you're gonna be in the same place. Well, you know, I had it yesterday. I'll just start over next week.
Then that becomes next month, and yeah.
So you can't be so hard on yourself, because when you're so hard on yourself, it's kind of like a open door for you to give up. Yeah. You know, you have to say, okay, I made a bad choice. All right. Well, guess what? I'm going to make better choices for the rest of the day, tomorrow. The rest of the month. You know what I mean?
Yes. So I hear 4 C's now. So I hear commitment.
Another thing, too, is what I learned was before.
Oh, that's okay. The video
There's
part is off.
Oh, okay.
There's a delay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then the next thing is that messed me up, I realized in previous years, was making unrealistic goals. Yeah. You have to, what I started doing was making short-term goals. Short-term is in 2 weeks. So I'll say, all right, for the next 2 weeks, I want to increase or decrease my fat percentage by, you know, 0.5% or 1% or whatever. Or I want to lose 2 pounds or 3 pounds or whatever. Because that's that's realistic. Like you can touch it, you can see it, you can taste it.
Yeah.
Now, whereas if you say, oh, I want to lose 60 pounds by the end of the summer, that just seems like impossible. You know, it doesn't. So you have to be realistic. You can't, if you consider that it's a lifestyle change, you cannot say, well, oh, I'm going to lose 60 pounds by the end of September. No, if it's a lifestyle change, you're going to lose weight. Your goal should be losing weight consistently and doing what you need to do to lose that weight. And yes, you set goals, but you set realistic goals. You know, for a month, if you want to lose 8 pounds, that's a realistic goal. You know, 15 pounds in a month, you could probably do it, but it's not healthy. And if you lose all that weight in an unhealthy manner, you're going to gain maybe 16 the following month or as soon as you stop. So you have to be realistic.
Yeah, I like that because it goes in line with this theory I have about dreaming small. You know, because the big dream can just feel like, okay, one day when I grow up, you know, I'm going to get there, or when I'm perfect, or when the stars align. But when you dream small and say, you know, next week I'm going to be able to go around this track, and make one less stop than I made this week. You know, like little things like that. And we want you to consider that this conversation, much like any other conversation we have publicly, we are using weight as an analogy really for any aspect of your life, because we're talking about it through a body journey because that's tangible. But any other thing, any other major goal that you set for yourself, if you can start out by dreaming small. So if it's to start your own business and you say, okay, well, I have bills, you know, I have responsibilities, so I cannot, or I choose not to leave my job tomorrow and register my business and start. But can I set a budget to find out exactly what it costs to register my business, you know, whether I'm going to trademark the name, set that budget up and say how much money would I need to take out of each paycheck for the next 3 months so that, you know, this is going to be my November gift to myself. It's the same principle. Anywhere you take it, it's about dreaming small. And I heard 4 C's in what Denise was saying. I heard commitment, which is, you know, she made that decision that 2012 was going to be that year. I heard community, meaning whether that was a community of one, meaning she was talking to just herself in the shower, or somebody else who, you know, shared that goal for their own life. So that's the second C. And then the third one is consistency, you know, saying, okay, if I had that bagel in the morning, that means I have several more opportunities in the day to make a different choice, moving right along. And then the fourth one I heard is compassion, to not beat yourself up and to say, okay, that's where I am. Maybe I don't even label the choice as good or bad. It's a choice that I made in that moment, but I have several other moments to make different choices so that I can, you know, be compassionate with myself, be my own shoulder rubber, because not, you know, you got to know what you respond to. Sometimes some people respond to a push, others respond to a rub. What type of person are you? What do you need? You know, can you do that for yourself? Take the idea of weight loss and make it about WAIT loss. You don't have to wait. You just have to be consistent. You don't have to wait till the beginning of the year to set the goal for this thing. Can you start it tomorrow? What could you have a fruit instead of a bagel tomorrow? Can you write down names of your business? You know, can you write down the name of or what you want from your perfect mate? Can, you know, whatever that thing is, you know, what pair of jeans do you want to fit into? Whatever. Can you embody it now and then set those 4 C's?
Yeah. And that's, I like that. One of the things that, you know, I always said in the past is, okay, I'm going to wait until August 1st and I'm going to start. Until August 1st, start tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
Or I would say, okay, I'll just start on Monday. Now, I'll start any day of the week, any time of the day. It does not matter. Like, if I decide that I'm going to fast, for instance.
Yeah.
No matter which day, I just do it. Yeah. You know, it doesn't matter. So just do it. Don't wait. What are you waiting for? You know, waiting puts on more weight.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Why wait?
Waiting is heavy. Yes.
Waiting is heavy. So
that's a good T-shirt.
You know, if you make a commitment to do it, just do it. Do it right then. If it's 12 o'clock, start at 12.
Yeah.
Start at 12.
The best you can, right in that moment. The best
right in that
you can.
moment.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So Denise, what is that it? You know, we keep using this term it. You know, you did it. What is the it? What's the difference between Denise December 31st, 2011 and Denise today, August something or other, the 11th maybe, 2013? What's the difference?
I feel empowered. I feel empowered. I feel proud. I said that I was going to do something and I did it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I did it. And there is no greater feeling than that. To do what you said you were going to do. That in itself is like such a gift that I am very thankful for. It made me realize that I am capable of doing anything I put my mind to.
Clearly.
That's been a huge struggle for me. Weight loss has been a huge struggle for as long as I can remember. And, you know, like you mentioned before, I've lost weight before, but then I'll gain it back because, you know, I go back into, you know, my old habits and I make excuses. I made excuses but this time has been different.
Mm-hmm. I was going to interrupt you a while ago and say, like, how gangster she was, y'all. We were in Jamaica. What was that, November, December?
Uh-huh.
And okay, pan
January
chicken.
when I came to Jamaica.
Yes. So pan chicken, which if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a specific way that maybe other islands do it too, but in Jamaica they use this tin drum and they use a certain type of homemade rub, like a jerk rub, and oh, it's so good with the bread, the hardo bread. And we got there. I'm like, Denise, you're not eating a pan chicken, like, and she's like, I'm good. I'm doing paleo. I'm actually doing a challenge now. And and I was just like, this is impossible. I don't even know how she did it, but she wasn't swayed at all because she was in her zone and she had made that commitment, which I just thought was beautiful. So I want you guys to consider that it wasn't perfect. She wasn't like a gym buff person by any stretch of the imagination. She just made a commitment and she was consistent with it and she created a community and she was compassionate with herself about it. So we really want you guys to, on your own big fat emotional journey, whether that's about physical weight or emotional weight, we want you to think about that as well. And Denise, speaking of weight, are you comfortable sharing how much weight you lost?
I lost over 30 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce.
I lost over 30 pounds, and that's like, when I think about it, I mean, I look at old pictures and I'm like, wow, really? And you know what? The thing about it, I didn't even realize how much weight I was losing because, like I said, I made like very small goals for myself. So I would do like 3 pounds here, 2 pounds here, 5 pounds here. And then it was actually after the challenge that, I started looking back through my journal and I was like, oh my gosh, I lost like over 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was incredible. Yeah.
So there you go. And that empowered feeling, we want that for you. Whatever your thing is that you're waiting for, set those small goals because I can definitely attest to the lifestyle change for you, Denise, and, having gone through, so many of us have gone through our own revolutions of one with some seemingly insurmountable thing, on this big fat emotional journey. But if you just take it bite size by bite size and be consistent and be your own cheerleader in those moments, because everybody's not always going to get it. Everybody's not always going to support you in that thing. But if you make that commitment and make your goals realistic, you can absolutely do it. Absolutely do it. So, Denise, do you have any last words for any woman on her own big fat emotional journey to lose the weight or the weight?
I know this sounds cliche, but if I can do it, anybody can. It's all about having a very honest conversation with yourself. Sit yourself down in a mirror and be very open. Be very, very open and candid like you've never been before. Weight is always something that's very touchy. It has been for me anyway. And I find that, I used to run from it. I mean, I knew there was a problem, but I would run from it. Like, I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to bring it alive, but it is alive. It was always alive. So when, I sat myself down in front of the mirror in the bathroom, and I was very, very open. I cried, boo-hoo, bawling, because I was very honest with myself, and I knew that where I was then is not where I wanted to be. That's not where I deserved to be, and that's not the lifestyle that was my future. I thought about, children. That's not the example that I wanted to set for my children. I don't have kids, but when I do, that I just know that that's not the example that I wanted for my kids.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel good overall. I wanted to feel good about myself. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to be comfortable with me.
Yeah.
I wanted to be comfortable with me. And I needed that. It wasn't a want. It was absolutely necessary for me to get to the point where I am now. And I still haven't, I'm still working. And honestly, 1 year later, it's still sometimes hard. It's still a struggle, but I haven't forgotten the commitment that I made to myself. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And I refuse to, I'm telling you, I absolutely 100% refuse to go back to where I was before.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Good for you guys. So start looking at that self. And again, this is not about self-deprecation. This is not about beating yourself up if you're not experiencing that sense of empowerment, because, and I don't get that from you at all. It's the opposite. It's saying that, and I think you said that before, I deserve something different. You know, I want a different experience. If you can start, when you look in that mirror or when you look on that vision board or whatever that thing is, instead of making it about, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't done this yet, make it more about what you can start doing right now, so that a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, you're not like, damn, I wish I would have started when that thing first came up. So, yeah.
Yeah. Because here we are, August, you know what I mean? And, you know, if I hadn't made that commitment and stuck to it like I said I was, here we would have been 8 months later and I'd been like, damn, I didn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what happened year after year. It was always like, oh my God, I cannot believe it. The year is almost done. I said I was going to do this and I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, so, and, you know, like I said, don't wait for next week. Don't wait for next month. Don't wait for next year. Now, right now.
Right
ASAP.
now. Today.
Right now. Do it right now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like the most, you know, there's no other way to show yourself that you mean business than to start right now. Do not make not one more excuse. Yeah, I mean, don't make one more excuse. Don't make another minute pass, another hour pass. Start right now.
Yeah. Now.
And let me tell you something. Once you get that feeling, that clean, good feeling, trust me, you will not. It's like drugs. You won't want to lose it.
Yeah.
It feels so good. You just will not want to lose it.
And we want you to feel like that in your own space, whatever that space is, not based on Denise's experiences or mine, but your own. So we appreciate you very much. We want you to stay in touch with Denise, who's darting in and out. She has another commitment here, but we want you to stay in touch with both of us
Absolutely.
on that journey. And we appreciate your attention at all times. You'll hear more about Denise because she is the official photographer for the Embody Retreat, the first of many retreats. So keep in touch with her if you want to learn more about her journey and her progress.
Absolutely. And I was going to say that, please, I know how it is because I've been there. I've been in the struggle. And I know that, you know, I had several people who support, you being one of them, who supported me through this journey. And, I mean, I can never thank them enough because that support, oh my goodness, it makes a world of difference. So I want to give back, and I'm open to talk to anyone who needs to talk, who has questions, who needs support. You can call me whenever. You can contact me. You know, Kilo will give you my contact information. Yeah. Please feel free.
And she means it. She's one of those people.
I do
like
mean it. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Trust me.
Yeah, so you just got another resource for you to really get freeing up in your body, in your mind, in your connection with your food and yourself. So you've just gotten another resource. You're welcome. Thanks for watching, and be sure to visit us online at liberatedbitches.com, where we are talking about spirituality, business, and the woman behind the work. Bye. Peace.
Bye.